Hello, Radiant Leo, the Zodiac's firestarter and fearless heart. Welcome to Eternal Mindfulness, where the stars don't just whisper, they roar. Let me ask you something powerful right off the bat. Have you ever felt like the universe forgot to pay you back for all the love, energy, and light you've poured into the world? Because today, that shifts. This video exists for one reason only, to remind you, your blessings are returning, tenfold. And no, this is not a coincidence. If you're watching this, it means something within you has already aligned with what's unfolding. You were drawn here not by chance, but by a deeper pull, the kind that only destiny knows how to weave. Some call it fate. I call it divine timing. Leo, your heart is your compass. And right now, the universe is responding to its call. You see, the energy you've been giving, the leadership you've shown, the loyalty you've offered, the times you stood in your truth even when no one clapped, they were never unnoticed. They were stored, amplified. And now, they're ready to come back to you, brighter and bigger than ever. If you've been feeling something stirring lately, a subtle shift, a call to prepare, a sense that something is about to happen, you're not wrong. This isn't just another horoscope video. This is a soul-aligned check-in with your higher path. Let me ask you this. What do you believe is trying to find its way back to you right now? Is it abundance? A long overdue recognition? Healing? A divine connection? Whatever your answer may be, I invite you to anchor that intention. Comment below with the first angel number that appears in your mind. Trust it, don't overthink. It may be the exact code the universe is using to speak with you. And before we go further, let me take a sincere moment to thank you, truly. For every like, every comment, every time you've shared this space, subscribed, or returned to listen, you've become part of something more. Your energy fuels this channel. Your presence elevates the messages we share. And without you, this sacred circle of eternal mindfulness wouldn't exist in the same way. So from the bottom of my heart, thank you. You are not just watching. You are co-creating. And I promise you, dear Leo, you'll want to stay until the very end of today's reading. Because what the universe is about to reveal? It's not only spectacular. It just might be the breakthrough you've been waiting for. So take a deep breath. Feel your feet on the ground, and your crown reaching toward the stars. Let's begin this journey together, because your 10x blessing is no longer a dream. It's real. And it's here. Sometimes, the flame that burns brightest forgets its own light. After all, even the sun rises silently each morning without asking to be noticed. And yet, Leo, you were never meant to blend into the background. You were designed to radiate, to be a source of inspiration, creativity, and courage not only for others, but for yourself. And this moment, right here, is a sacred invitation to remember the fire that has always lived within you. The number 23 has appeared in your energetic field for a reason. It carries a soft yet persistent message. Inspiration is not something to chase, it is something to allow. It whispers that your joy, your ideas, your spark have power. Real power. Not the kind that overpowers others, but the kind that brings things to life. The kind of power that plants flowers in forgotten places, that opens doorways within you that you didn't know were waiting. This week, the universe isn't asking you to prove anything. It's asking you to return. To return to the things you once loved but set aside. Maybe it was painting late at night with music playing low. Maybe it was journaling wild dreams before the world told you to be realistic. Maybe it was dancing without caring who watched, or crafting something not because it was useful, but because it made your heart smile. These aren't indulgences, they're invitations to realignment. You don't need permission to feel joy. And when you choose joy, you choose alignment with life itself. In certain ancient teachings, there's a belief that when you act from your purest essence, without seeking reward or praise, you awaken a state of true presence. In that space, what flows through you is no longer ego-driven but life-affirming. And when your actions come from that place, even the smallest gesture becomes sacred. So when you allow yourself to create, not for recognition but for release, you become the channel through which energy transforms. And transformation, dear Leo, is your quiet superpower. Notice what happens in your body when you choose to engage creatively. There's a stillness that forms beneath the motion. A silence that speaks through color, movement, word, or rhythm. That's your inner fire remembering its language. That's your soul finding its way back home. It doesn't need to be perfect. It doesn't even need to be good. It only needs to be honest. This week, try asking yourself gently, if I allowed myself to shine fully, what would I do today? Let that question be your companion, not a challenge. You don't need to rush to answer it. Sometimes the most profound truths unfold slowly, like a petal opening to the light. And when you follow that light, even in the smallest way, you ripple that frequency into the world around you. Consider surrounding yourself with the colors that mirror your soul's palette, bold amber, deep orange, and the rich, mysterious green of renewal. Let them be reminders. Let them speak to you without words. Every time you wear them, see them, or sense them, let them pull you closer to your essence, like a thread drawing you back to your most authentic rhythm. This isn't about becoming someone new. It's about remembering who you already are, before the noise, before the world, before the expectations. And you, Leo, are the embodiment of creative force. You don't have to wait for inspiration to strike. You are the inspiration. The flame. The storyteller. The heartbeat. So lean into that. Even for 5 minutes a day. Let your hands create, your voice move, your body dance, or your thoughts pour onto paper. Don't worry where it's going. Just start. Because when you begin, you reconnect with the deeper current of your life. And from there, anything is possible. Not everything that shines is looking to be seen. Sometimes, the brightest souls burn silently beneath the surface, carrying strength so natural they forget it even needs care. For Leo, who so often shows up as the protector, the leader, the one who holds it all together, there's a gentle reminder here, you're allowed to soften too. This part of your journey is not about conquering or producing or proving. It's about returning to your center, not as a performer, but as a person. The kind of person who deserves to be held, understood, and honored simply for existing. Because true power doesn't always roar. Sometimes, it listens. Sometimes, it rests. And sometimes, it asks, what do I really need today? The High Priestess emerges in this space for a reason. She represents the wisdom that doesn't come from books or praise or even success, but from quiet attention, inner knowing, stillness. She is the voice behind the voice, the breath behind the breath. And when she shows up, she isn't asking you to do anything. She's inviting you to remember. To remember how to hear yourself again. There's a concept that teaches us, the deeper our awareness, the clearer our choices. But awareness isn't about thinking harder, it's about becoming still enough to notice. Notice the emotions that hide behind busyness. Notice the thoughts that keep repeating, the tension in your shoulders, the exhaustion you call normal. And most importantly, notice the quiet moments when your heart is asking for space. In numerology, the number 1 speaks of beginnings. But not the kind that rush forward with intensity. This is a beginning from within, a soft reset, a fresh breath, a gentle nod to yourself that says, I'm listening now. The number 1 is independence, yes, but not isolation. It's the type of sovereignty that comes when you no longer abandon yourself in order to meet the world's expectations. Each morning this week, before the noise creeps in, take 5 minutes to sit with yourself. No agenda. Just you. Let your thoughts come and go without chasing them. And when you feel ready, write 1 sentence in a journal, not for anyone else to read, not to impress or track progress, but as a quiet act of meeting yourself where you are. Ask, what do I need today? Then, without judgment, trust the answer, even if it's rest, even if it's tears, even if it's space. These small practices are not indulgent. They are essential. Because a flame, no matter how bright, cannot burn endlessly without retreating to its source. And for Leo, that source is the heart. A heart that leads. A heart that creates. But also a heart that longs to be seen, by you. This week is not about fixing anything. It's about choosing kindness toward yourself as a practice, not a reward. You don't have to wait until you've done enough to be gentle. You don't have to justify your need for peace. Loving yourself doesn't require a reason. It requires willingness. So choose 1 small act each day that says, I matter. Maybe it's making tea slowly. Maybe it's turning your phone off for an hour. Maybe it's putting your hand on your chest and whispering, I've got you, even when you don't fully believe it yet. These moments ripple. These choices stack. And over time, they rebuild the kind of self-trust that no outside validation can replace. You don't need to become anyone else to feel whole. You simply need to return. The guidance is already within you. The answers live in your silence. And every time you choose to be kind to yourself, even in the smallest way, you're not stepping away from your power. You're stepping into it. There's something quietly profound about the moment you realize what's coming to you isn't just random fortune. It's the natural return of everything you once gave with love, even when no one was watching. The kindness you extended without expectation, the sacrifices made in silence, the energy you offered while asking for nothing in return, all of it has been circling the cosmos, gathering momentum. And now, Leo, it's on its way back to you. In the language of tarot, the 10 of Pentacles arrives as a symbol of long-awaited fullness, not just material wealth, but a sense of legacy, support, and deep-rooted stability. It tells a story of seeds that were planted long ago finally breaking through the surface. But this kind of blessing isn't loud or flashy. It moves through subtle alignments. A conversation that opens a door. An opportunity that feels too well-timed to be a coincidence. A sense of ease that arrives after years of effort. But are you truly ready to receive it? This is where your awareness comes in. Because sometimes, after a long stretch of giving, we forget how to allow. We carry a silent habit of pushing blessings away, telling ourselves we're not quite ready, or that it's for someone else, or that we need to struggle a little longer to feel deserving. But what if that story was never yours to carry? What if abundance doesn't need justification, but simply a place to land? Consider doing a quiet financial check-in, not to measure your worth, but to prepare your vessel. Are your resources being honored with clarity? Is there space in your life for wealth, not only financially but emotionally and relationally? Creating a dedicated space, even symbolically, like a Leo Glow Fund, can be a small but powerful way to say to the universe, I'm ready now. Ready to not just give, but to be given to. There's a practice in some wisdom traditions that speaks to this, the understanding that every generous act sows an unseen ripple. Not for karma's sake, but because life moves in circles. And when we give with an open heart, without tightening our grip around outcome, that energy remains alive, moving silently through the lives it touched, until it circles back to nourish the one who sent it out. So here's something gentle, but powerful, for you to try. Write down 3 things you once gave from a place of genuine care. It could be time, love, money, or simply presence. Don't judge the size or impact, just honor the act. And now imagine, what might it look like if each of those gifts returned to you in a form you never expected, but deeply needed? This isn't fantasy. This is alignment. When you start to see abundance not as luck, but as rhythm, you begin to receive it not with guilt, but with grace. Visualize golden coins falling not from nowhere, but from everything you once radiated. Your courage, your loyalty, your generosity, they weren't forgotten. They've simply been traveling. And now, they're finding their way back home to you. Receiving is an art. It asks for openness, but also a soft sense of worthiness. Not the kind that needs applause, but the quiet kind that knows, I have given freely. I am ready to receive fully. So as this energy begins to return, allow yourself to lean into it. Let it flow. Let it land. Let it remind you that nothing you offered from your heart ever disappears. It just finds the right time to return, multiplied. It's often in the quiet moments, those in-between pauses between effort and ease, that we begin to feel the weight of what no longer belongs. Not everything we carry is ours. And not everything we hold on to still serves who we are becoming. This phase of your journey, Leo, invites you to take a closer look at what you've outgrown, not from a place of judgment, but from a place of self-honoring. Because no matter how radiant your spirit is, even sunlight can be dimmed when filtered through layers of fear, doubt, or outdated stories. The Devil card in tarot doesn't speak of evil, it speaks of attachment. The kind that starts out as comfort and slowly becomes confinement. It could be a relationship that once felt like home but now keeps you small. A routine that used to bring structure but now feels like a cage. A voice in your head that was meant to protect you but now only whispers self-doubt. These attachments aren't punishments. They are invitations to notice, to question, and to choose again. When strength appears alongside the devil, the message becomes clear. You are more powerful than the habits that hold you back. But this isn't a battle to win. It's a returning to your own center. True strength doesn't push or prove, it steadies. It breathes. It remembers. And in remembering your essence, it becomes easier to loosen the grip on what you've been clinging to, perhaps even unconsciously. One teaching reminds us that liberation begins not by forcing change, but by seeing clearly. When we bring full awareness to a pattern or fear, it starts to lose its hold, not because we fought it, but because we finally witnessed it without resistance. That witnessing becomes the first key to freedom. So ask yourself with gentle honesty, what patterns are repeating not because they're true, but because they're familiar? What are you avoiding simply because it's easier to doubt than to risk believing in yourself again? Let this week be a practice in unbinding. You don't need to change everything overnight. But maybe you write a letter, to the habit, to the fear, to the version of yourself that once needed those walls. Say thank you. Say goodbye. And when you're ready, release it, perhaps under the soft glow of a candle, allowing the fire to symbolize the beginning of a new kind of light. One that comes from within. Movement is another gateway to freedom. Your body remembers everything, every contraction of fear, every pause of hesitation, every holding back. And it also remembers how to expand, to stretch, to shake loose what no longer belongs. Whether through dance, intense yoga, a long walk, or simply throwing your arms open in the morning sun, let your body become an active participant in your healing. Let it know that it's safe to move forward. That it no longer has to protect a version of you that's already evolved. And as you move through this shedding process, remind yourself, you don't need validation to shine. Your brilliance was never a reward. It is your birthright. You are radiant not because others see it, but because you choose to be. Even in quiet rooms. Even when no one claps. Even when you're still learning how to believe in yourself again. So take one small, courageous step this week. Speak a truth you've been hiding. Rest when you'd normally push. Say no where you'd usually say yes. These micro-freedoms create ripples that, over time, become waves. And before you know it, the chains that once felt permanent start to fall away, not with force, but with grace. Because in choosing yourself fully, you are not walking away from your light. You are walking back to it. Every path has its fork. And for you, Leo, this moment feels like standing at a quiet crossroads, one that doesn't demand urgency, but asks for honesty. After releasing what no longer serves you, after peeling back the layers that dimmed your light, you're now being gently asked to choose. Not out of pressure. Not out of fear. But from a place of deep alignment with what truly honors your heart. The Lover's card is often misunderstood. It's not always about romance, it's about integration. It asks, are your choices aligned with your highest truth, or with your oldest fears? Are you choosing based on who you're becoming, or who you used to be? Alongside it, the Seven of Cups shows up like a constellation of possibilities, so many glittering options that the mind spins while the heart quietly waits for clarity. This is not a trap, but an opportunity. You are not being tested. You're being invited to listen closer. It's tempting to default to the familiar. To pick what's logical. What pays the bills? What won't disrupt the balance you've worked so hard to maintain? But sometimes, stability becomes another name for stagnation. And sometimes, the path that calls you forward doesn't make perfect sense, it simply feels more alive. That pulse you feel in your chest when you think about the what-ifs that excite and terrify you at the same time. That's not fear. That's life asking to be lived more fully. One of the gentlest practices you can try is to sit still, with one hand on your heart, and ask, which choice makes me feel more like myself? Not the self you present to the world, but the one who whispers dreams before you fall asleep. The one who longs, not for certainty, but for authenticity. You see, there's a principle that teaches us, where there is attachment, there is suffering. But where there is clarity, there is freedom. Fear often comes disguised as practicality. It convinces us to stay where it's safe, where it's known, even if that place no longer reflects who we are. But love, real, grounded, conscious love, whether for a person, a purpose, or a path, doesn't require certainty. It only requires your willingness to show up with presence. So if you're deciding between comfort and curiosity, between a familiar connection and a new kind of intimacy, between a job that drains you and a dream that calls you, pause. Don't rush. Let yourself feel into it. The mind will list pros and cons endlessly, but the heart? The heart knows. And when you choose in favor of love, not just romantic love, but self-love, soul love, purpose love, you align with a higher current. One that supports, uplifts, and expands you. The law of attraction doesn't respond to what you say you want, it responds to who you are while you're wanting it. When you make a choice rooted in fear, you emit resistance. But when you make a choice rooted in love, you become magnetic. Light draws light. Courage calls an opportunity. Alignment makes way for abundance. Let yourself lean toward the option that softens your body, that makes you breathe deeper, that even in its uncertainty, feels like home. You don't have to know every step ahead. You only have to know the next right one. And that step, more often than not, is the one that reconnects you with your inner fire. This isn't about making the perfect decision. It's about making the most honest one. The one that lets you feel fully alive, even if it feels uncertain. The one that honors where you are, while opening space for where you're going. And maybe, just maybe, it's the one you've known all along, but needed permission to believe was allowed. Let this be your permission. Choose love, Leo. You're not just following a path, you're creating it. And so, Leo, as we come to the closing moments of this journey, I want to gently remind you of what this week has truly been about. It's not about chasing something outside of you, it's about remembering what's always been burning within. Your light isn't something you need to earn. It's something you already are. Everything we've explored together, your creativity, your intuition, your ability to receive, your power to release, your courage to choose love, all of it has been leading you back to your core, to the truth that you are not here to fit in. You are here to illuminate. You don't need permission to rise. You don't need validation to glow. And you certainly don't need to shrink just because others haven't yet found the courage to expand. Your presence, your expression, your joy, these are not extras in the story of your life. They are the story. And the more you honor them, the more the universe responds. Because energy does not lie. When you show up for yourself with honesty, the path opens. When you act from alignment, the right people and opportunities find you, not as a reward, but as a reflection of your truth. Take a moment now, just for yourself. Breathe in gently. Exhale slowly. And ask, what part of me have I been hiding, that is now ready to be seen again? What dream have I set aside, thinking it wasn't time? What version of me is waiting, quietly, patiently, for permission to come home? You don't need to have all the answers. You only need to listen to the next clear yes. Maybe it's saying no to what drains you. Maybe it's picking up the paintbrush again. Maybe it's speaking the truth you've held in for too long. Whatever it is, trust that it matters. Trust that it counts. Because the ripple of one brave, conscious choice has the power to shift everything. And now, I'd love to hear from you. What blessing do you feel is making its way back into your life? What energy are you finally ready to receive without apology? Drop a comment below and share the first angel number that comes to mind. Let that number be a sign, a confirmation, a message from the universe that your energy is already working behind the scenes. And if this video spoke to something real inside of you, if it made you pause, breathe, feel seen, then take a moment to like, subscribe, and share it with someone else who might need this light. You never know how one small act of connection can ignite something powerful in another. Thank you, from my heart, for walking this path with me today. Your presence here, your energy, your willingness to reflect and expand, it means more than you know. This isn't just a video. It's a space. A mirror. A reminder that your light is not just welcome in this world, it is needed. So go out there, Leo. Not as someone trying to be bright, but as someone who already is. You are not a distant star waiting to be discovered. You are the sun, and the world is already waking up to your warmth.